Twitch channel, as you know, as I say every fucking time, because you're on the Twitch channel right now. This is the Voice Britannia channel. We sometimes swear. Be ready. Okay. With that said, we are here for another edition of Prime Minister's Questions. The time is 11:47. We officially have 13 minutes to fill until this starts, so let's get this filled. What's happening today? How much questions are going to be asked? Who's asking the questions? And most of all, can you be fucking jibbed with this? We all know this is just nonsense. This is just... Every week we come here and we watch this and we do the same. And we hope for something different to happen. Go away. And let's happen. Oh, we've got comments already. Oh, we got... Hijo Del Dorito. Loving your wrestling and podcast political stuff. Awesome. That's what I like to hear. This is the sort of stuff that keeps me coming back. If it wasn't for the comments like this, I would have thrown in the towel ages ago and then came back and done it again and stuff, because I'm like that. I've got a bit between my teeth. I'm tenacious. So let's talk about today's Prime Minister's questions, because we've got 12 minutes, and at the moment what's happening in the House of Commons is questions to the Welsh Secretary. So not questions to the Welsh devolved government, it's questions to this chapo, this Conservative stooge, who apparently is the voice of Wales, but he's not the voice of Wales because he's the voice of Conservative Party. The voice of Wales is in Wales. It is not in Westminster. Like Scotland, the voice of Scotland is in Holyrood, not in Westminster. So that's what's happening just now. These people are asking questions about Wales. We are not here to watch Welsh questions, and that's why you can't hear what's happening right now. We're here for Prime Minister's questions. So today we have 2 questions from the SNP, 11/12 questions from the Conservative Party, and 10/11 questions from the Conservative Party, and 12 from Labour. Now, one thing that instantly jumped out at me, like, we've got to remember also, there might be, at the moment, there was 28 questions on the order paper. It's always possible that a few more have been added at the end that are not on the order paper, so it might go longer. We might have a few more SNP ones. But I mean, when I looked at that, 2, it really got me thinking. I was like, man, the Tories talk about Scotland being like looked after and stuff like that, and how Scotland's got it's all fucking rosy in the union, you know. But when you look at it, really, it's like, well, Scotland didn't really elect any Conservatives, but the Conservatives run them. And then when they get the chance to go and ask questions of the Conservative in Westminster, they only get 2 questions. Is it any wonder Scotland wants to be independent? I don't think it is. I don't think it is at all. So let's have a quick look at the names on the call, all on the list at the moment. We have got Hannah. I don't know why I didn't write down all the surnames. I don't know. I can't remember them. Now, number 2 is it is Theresa May. She's asking the first question. She's asking the question before Keir Starmer, but with the position the question is in, which is before Keir, I've got a funny feeling that is just going to be like a commemorative question for Captain Tom. Fair play. We have then got Keithy as at questions 3 to 8. We have got Longy, Blackfield, Coutinho, Fari, which I wrote fart by accident. Robertson, Ribeiro Adi, Green, Elliott, Morrissey. That's the American one, by the way. That's the one that was... Joy Morrissey, that's the woman that was parachuted into the Beaconsfield seat to take Dominic Grieve's position. Oh, just interesting little factoid, that. An American MP. Yeah. David Davis, Rosie Cooper, Ian Paisley, Jenk Son. Not Jenkins, Jenk Son. Who well, Williams, Plaid Cymru get 1 question. So I mean, they've got the Welsh thing. Plaid Cymru. I can't say that word. Plaid Cymru? I'm not Welsh. I can't say these things. Crawley, McFartland. Sorry, it's McPartland. Stephen Timms and Sir Mike Penning. So that's the questions we're getting asked today. When we get to the question time, we're going to do things a little bit differently than we have been doing since we started this series, because something that like annoys me every week is this. Now, it's a bugbear of mine. I don't know if this is a bugbear of the people that watch it, but as we're watching Prime Minister's questions, I feel this is important, right? When expecting that this is double as bad when Sinan's on with this, because the pair of us, me and Sinan, will just talk and talk and talk, and we'll talk over everything. And what happens is we talk over questions, so we don't actually hear the full question. Then we hear the answer and we talk over the answer. So what I'm going to do today is, because we've got the pause button here, we can pause the stream, you know. So what we're going to do is, whenever a question is asked, we're going to pause it, and we'll talk about the question quickly, unless it's just a shit question that we can comment over the top of it. Oh, we've got the SNP talking in the Welsh debate. Okay, right, back to what I was talking about there. So yeah, I'll be pausing it after the questions, then we'll listen to the answer, and we'll pause the answer. In that way, no one is being left out, and we all know what the hell's happening, don't we? That's the way I feel about it. That's the way I think it's going to go. And yeah, so this is the way, and hopefully that we can hopefully by doing it this way, we can just like rep what's happening a lot more. Oh, please don't say I've just pressed buttons. Oh, that's alright. Things are alright. It's okay. So let's see what's happening. Okay. We are live now. We are live now. Come and join me. 1 second. I'm just doing some of the social media stuffs right now. Facebook. I hate Facebook, but I've got a Facebook page and I should remember it. So let's quickly post that. We are live now on Twitch. We are live now on Twitch. We are live. Actually, we did that. We've posted it already. We're good. We are good. If they come, they come. And to be honest, a lot of the people on Twitter are quite racist and mental. So we've maybe dodged a bullet by not having the Facebook people here. Yay! So, I mean, in the 6 minutes we've got before PMQs, we've got some channel updates. This is actually pretty cool stuff. So you might want to hear this. So I've been lining up interviews because I want to make the Monday potpourri type chat show something different. I want to make it dynamic. I want to have different people on. I want to have voices. I want to have story. I want to have content, you know. So I have lined up a few interviews for the next, hopefully that'll happen over the next few weeks for the Monday shows. Now, what I'm going to do for the first two interviews, because that's all I've got like lined up just now, and I need to think up what a topic to interview people on next. I'm going to be speaking to hopefully a wrestler who's going to tell us about the wrestling scene during COVID-19 and what it's done to that. I am also going to be talking to a DJ who DJ'd places with thousands and thousands of people, who has also been affected by the pandemic, wouldn't you know, because the pandemic is affecting everyone. So this is what I've got coming up on the potpourri show. So that'll be for Monday. For Mondays, should I say. If you're one of the people that watches the wrestling content, we've got more cool stuff coming up with that. So obviously one of the people who I'm going to be interviewing for the Monday shows, he's also a wrestler, so that's going to come in handy for the wrestling shows. Now, I'm not going to name any names at the moment, but let's just say this wrestler can be seen on the WWE network, and the content he is in is not in the classics or the retro section. Very contemporary wrestler from the UK, and hopefully I'm going to get a chat with him. So that's going to be really, really cool. So that's what's coming up for the channel. Later on today, after this stream's finished, Mick will be streaming. So that'll be Mick Wright, Broken Bottle Boy. He will be doing his daily newspaper reviews. After he finishes, which will be about 2 o'clock, I will be live again, where we'll be watching AEW Dark and reviewing it as we go along. Now, it may sound like, whoa, watching a wrestling show along. Like, the good thing about Dark is the matches are nice and short, so we can basically watch a match in a few minutes, pause it, talk about the segment, and I think it'll take about 2 hours, but it's something I've been wanting to try. It's like, I already review AEW Dynamite every week, right? And it's quite laborious to review it. It's Like this, like I've got to type up notes in a script for AEW Dynamite. It normally comes in at about 5,000, 4,000, 5,000 words, which to people that are in an academic sort of place, you'll understand that that's quite a lot of words. It's a lot of words. It takes an hour and a half to get through it all. So I wanted to review AEW Dark, but I wanted to do it in a way that is not laborious. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a watch along, because I realised that we can do watch alongs and stuff on Twitch. So like, why not? You know, the technology is there. We can do it. And as always with the stream today, if the volumes or any are weird, if anything goes a bit weird, just tell me. And it's still there. It stayed there. Tell me in the chat. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? I'm opening windows here that don't need to be opened. Why is that opening an incognito window? Come on, man. I don't want no incognito. Do I look like my name's Steve Incognito? What a joke, man. What a joke. I am not Steve Incognito. What a joke, man. What a joke. I am not Steve. So, 2 minutes to the start. Let's see what's happening. Hopefully we get some people in the channel today. Usually we've got a pretty jumping channel for Prime Minister's questions today, but we're quite... Oh, well, we can hear myself. Normally the channel's quite jumping by this time, but today it's fucking dead. The channel is dead, so it looks like today is going to be a show for the video on demanders, because video on demand people watch this show too. It's quite cool. I can live with that. I can live with doing video on command. Video on command, video on demand. My God, my voice today. I cannot get words right. I can't, like... People think dyslexia is all about just like fucking reading things wrong or writing things wrong. No, it's not. Like, dyslexia is about so much more than just reading and writing things wrong. Like, words will just come in the wrong position for me, which is terrible for speaking in this sort of sense, if you're talking freely, but it's just one of them. And, I mean, I'm a lot better at this time of day than I am at other times of day. So that's something. I've been thinking about taking, like, you know, you get this, like, alpha brain stuff, like, fucking supplements for your brain that make your brain work better. I've been thinking about getting them. I thought, like, maybe I can drop a few of these brain supplements before a stream and just sit and rabble shit like Alex Jones on a fucking stream of cancers, fucking hell and brimstone, you know? But I don't know. Maybe it's not the way. So what's happening? Oh, we're going to be having a minute silence soon, I believe, for Captain Tom. That's 12 o'clock. That is the PM. Is that the PM taking a seat now? What the hell? Yeah, it is the PM. No, I thought there was going to be a minute silence before this, but I mean, the problem I've got here is I have the television on mute, so I don't know what's happening. So we won't know what's happening until we get to it here.
Order.
Okay, I think this is the minute silence. Okay.
I want to express on behalf of the whole House our deep sadness at the death of Captain Sir Tom Moore. His dignity and determination in raising money to support the NHS charities caught the nation's mood at the most difficult time. He exemplified the best of our values. I know the whole House will want to join me in sending our condolences to his family and his many friends. I invite members to now join me for a minute's silence to commemorate Sir Tom's life and to pay our respects to those who have lost their lives as a result of the COVID and their families and friends. Order.
Okay, sorry. For a second there, I thought everything had paused. I was wondering what was happening. I got a bit worried there.
Prime Minister, I will first
Thankfully,
ask
it's not.
the Prime Minister to answer the engagements question. I will then call Claire Anna to ask her supplementary. Prime Minister.
Okay, so Claire Hanna gets her supplementary and the engagement. She's from the
Mr.
SDLP.
Speaker, Captain Sir Tom Moore, or Captain Tom as we all came to know him,
We won't pause this question because this is just the engagements.
serving his country and others. His was a long life lived well, whether during his time defending our nation as an army officer, and last year.
It's a shame you couldn't have defended him, Boris.
Incredible fundraising drive
Fucking
for the NHS.
poor guy,
gave
poor
millions
Captain Tom.
a chance to thank the extraordinary men and
These
women
fucking
of
donuts
our
should have
NHS
protected him.
who
Know what I mean?
us
Like,
in this
Captain Tom was like the icon of community working together during the pandemic. And the very least this government could have done was fucking protected him, and they didn't.
good day.
On his head. Boris Johnson said, "Oh, this is on his head." This is on his head, directly his head.
Legacy will continue to do so for generations to come.
Don't let these
We now all
animals
have the opportunity
try and
to
spin
show
their way
our
out of this by making him like,
appreciation
just
for
like
him
making him a
and
like. Obviously, he did. He was a hero, but don't let them use this to
I
distract from this
encourage everyone
asshole.
to join in a national
And it really looks like he's wearing a wig today. Like, what the hell's up with his hair? That doesn't even look
for
real.
whom he raised money at 6 p.m. this evening.
That really looks like a wig.
This morning, I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in the
Eh,
office, I
that's-
shall have further such meetings later today.
Let's head
He's
over
wearing
to
a wig.
Northern Ireland with Claire Hanna. Claire Hanna.
Claire Hanna, SDLP.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and certainly echo those words about Captain Tom, a decent and inspiring man. The SDLP warned for the last 5 years about the destabilising impact Brexit would have in Northern Ireland, though we take no pleasure in the disruption nor in the injury some feel to their British identity. The last few days have seen a rash and thankfully withdrawn decision by the European Commission, which was condemned by all parties
Oh no,
here
lag,
and both
lag.
governments, and unfortunately,
Our ping's too high for this
followed
shit.
by
Drop.
sporadic
Kick her for the
criminal
team.
behaviour and threats. Well, the Prime Minister
Like, so they're talking about the whole thing with Northern Ireland last week.
The impact of their
Oh, here we
words
go.
and work together through the available structures to ensure that the new arrangements work for everybody in Northern Ireland.
So very quickly, that question is about the fallout between the EU and the UK last week, where the EU used one of the protocols in the Brexit agreement to stop trade of vaccines between over the Irish borders. The EU acted really fucking stupid with this. They just need to get out of the way. They shouldn't have done that. It was a big mistake. But at the same time, this was agreed to by the Prime Minister. This was part of the Brexit deal. He agreed to, so we've got to remember that it's all part of the Brexit deal.
Mr. Speaker, I certainly agree with the Honourable Lady that it was most regrettable that the
I mean, yeah, that was totally it was
should
stupid. It was
seem
really
to
stupid.
cast doubt on the Good Friday Agreement, the principles of the peace process, by seeming to call for a border across the island of Ireland. And I can tell
I mean,
her,
Boris, you did that.
that we will work to ensure that there are no such borders. We will respect the peace process and indeed no barriers down the Irish Sea, and that the principle
You've
of
already
unfettered
created a
access
barrier down the
across all
Irish Sea, you
parts of our
disingenuous
United Kingdom
prat.
is upheld.
Theresa May.
Theresa May.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I join?
Who would have thought we would look at Theresa May as a leader who had a bit of competence? Remember when we thought she was the worst PM of all time? Fucking hell.
House
How
paying
things have
tribute to
changed.
Captain Sir Tom Moore, who was indeed an
Oh, it's
inspiration
creepy
to all of us
Mark.
and a beacon
He's there.
of light in a
Little
time of
weirdo, man.
darkness
Little
and a true
weirdo. I'd love to
gentleman.
meet him.
I'm sure my right honourable friend is aware
And
that
just
my
say,
10-minute rule bill
You're a weirdo.
would increase the
Nothing
maximum
else.
penalty for death by dangerous driving to life imprisonment.
Okay. Oh.
The policy and the bill have cross-party support. The policy has government support, the bill does not. The government says it will introduce the policy in its sentencing bill, of which we have seen, as yet, no sign.
Interesting question.
So, will the government
Will the
now give
government-
government time to my bill to ensure this necessary change is put on the statute book as soon as possible?
Right, so that was an interesting question. I thought she was going to lead with like words for Captain Tom, but no, she's speaking up for her own rule bill. She's wanting people that cause death by dangerous driving to get a lifetime, like life in jail. Now, death by dangerous driving, yeah, of course, that is like really, really bad, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, this is one for the chat here. I don't know if I've got a real... I would have to read a lot more on this. I think this is... The thing about death with dangerous driving cases and stuff, it's one of those things that it's hard... People find it hard to back unless they're involved. But let's hear what Boris has got to say.
Prime Minister.
I'm very grateful to my right honourable friend, and she's absolutely
He's going to talk this up, but it's Theresa May. She's the last Prime Minister. She is not getting this through.
right
Oh,
to campaign
hiya,
for
Mick. It's good to see
punishments
Mick in the
that,
chat.
fit the
Of
crime,
course, yeah.
and
I agree.
therefore bringing forward exactly those.
I mean, the way I see it, with the government saying we're wanting everyone to clap, it kind of verifies what we thought earlier, that they were behind the push for everyone to clap last year. But that's another topic for another day. Of course they did. Of course they did. It's the biggest way to distract people.
And
that little clap gives everyone a huge boost of endorphins, and it's like a drug. What the? That's a mask and a half.
Than those that she wants, by raising the maximum penalty for causing death by careless driving.
I'm split on the death with dangerous driving thing. It is very populist, but at the same time, I could see it being totally misused. And like,
now comes the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Keir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join you and the Prime Minister in sending my condolences to the family of Captain Sir Tom Moore? He, perhaps more than anyone, embodied the spirit of Britain, and he will be sadly missed. And I welcome the initiative that the Prime Minister spoke of a clap this evening. Mr. Speaker, our thoughts are also with the family of Maureen Colquhoun, the first openly lesbian MP and a great champion of women's rights.
Sorry.
Mr. Speaker, let me pay tribute to our NHS and all of those on the front line who are delivering the vaccine. Today we're likely to hit 10 million vaccinations, which is remarkable.
What?
The biggest risk to the
Is
vaccine
he for
programme
real?
at the moment is the arrival of new variants.
Is this bell end for real? We've done 10. No, we've not vaccinated 10 million people. We've given them their first. That is conservative rhetoric. That is not reality.
On that issue, the government's own scientist, Sage, said 2 weeks ago, and I quote, "Only a complete preemptive closure of borders or the mandatory quarantine of all visitors upon arrival can get close to fully preventing."
Yeah, we were saying this
new
last year,
cases
you
or new
fucking
variants.
pleb.
So pretty clear.
Pretty clear.
So why did the Prime Minister choose not to do the one thing that Sage said could prevent new variants coming to the United Kingdom?
What was that?
Prime Minister.
I'm unsure what he was referring to there, but why did the government not follow Sage's advice?
Well, actually, Mr. Speaker, Sage
did
not recommend a complete ban, and they say that travel bans should not be relied upon to stop importation of new
Bollocks.
variants. But we do have, Mr. Speaker,
Bollocks.
one of the toughest regimes in the world.
Well, we don't.
And anybody coming from South Africa not only has to do a test before they come.
From South Africa. I mean, this is where we're at now, right? The British government has got to a point where they're spinning everything as, it's the South African thing. It's like, no, these are lies. The British one is exactly the same as the South African one. They just came mutated in different bits of the world, but they are the same thing. This is just nonsense. Total nonsense.
Checking up on them, and it is illegal now, Mr. Speaker, to go on holiday in this country. It is illegal to travel from South Africa or all the countries on the current red list. And we will be going forward, Mr. Speaker, with a plan to ensure that people coming into this country from those red list countries
Why can I not get rid of that?
have to go into government-mandated quarantine hospitality.
Okay, there we go.
Mr. Speaker, I'm intrigued by the Prime Minister's answer. I don't think he disputes what Sage's view was, that only a complete closure or comprehensive quarantine of all arrivals will work. He doesn't seem to dispute that. He says it simply wasn't a recommendation. I would ask the Prime Minister to publish the full Sage minutes so that we can see what was said in full, or if there's some other
Why is he
advice,
shaking his head at
perhaps
that?
publish that.
All he's asking, like,
Because the situation is this.
all the Keir asked there was for the Prime Minister to release documents in a transparent manner. Why the hell is he shaking his head?
We know the South African variant is spreading across England, and measures are
He
in
is
place
such a
to try
tool.
to deal with that.
I fucking
We also know
despise
that
him.
other variants are out there in other parts of the world.
Yeah, like,
So is
like
the Prime
Britain.
Minister really
Everyone
saying
else in the
this is
world's
not
calling it the
common sense?
British variant.
Is he saying that quarantining all arrivals would make no difference.
No, that's not what he said at all, Keir. Fuck's sake. What up, SK? It's good to see you here, my man. Keir, he did not just say that. Like, Keir just went fucking totally binary with that. Like, I'm going to defend Boris here, because he did not say that.
Mr. Speaker, this is the right honourable gentleman who only recently said that quarantine measures were a blunt instrument, and whose Shadow Transport Secretary said that quarantine should be lessened. We have one of the toughest.
I hope the editing's going well, SK. I'm looking forward to seeing this book. This video.
Or suggests that that might be an option, Mr. Speaker. He should be aware that 75% of our medicines come into this country from the European continent, 45% of our food. 250,000 businesses in this country rely on imports. It is not practical completely to close off this country, as he seems to be suggesting. What is practical to do is have one of the toughest regimes in the world and to get on with vaccinating the people of this country, which is what we are doing.
The image section of the edit. It's
Mr.
always
Speaker,
the
what he says
most
about the
laborious.
Labour position is complete nonsense. He knows it. It's
I sometimes hate looking.
I'll
wait.
With new variants in the country, our schools are shut and our borders are open. Everybody knows there are exceptions, whatever the quarantine regime.
Why does he keep shaking his head?
Everybody knows that. And that's not what this question is about. The position is this: 21,000 people are coming into this country every day. The Prime Minister's new border arrangements are still weeks away from being implemented and will only affect direct flights from some countries. We know from the first wave of the pandemic that only 0.1%
I'm starting to think we might get a third wave, you know.
Came from China, where we had restrictions.
I have lost all faith that
Whereas
anything's going to change in the next year.
came indirectly from France and Spain.
There's no way
where
we're
there
getting
were
through
no
this in a year.
restrictions.
It's going to take another 2-3
Why does
years
the Prime
before
Minister
COVID's
think
done. This is just
that
fucking
the
ridiculous.
variants of the virus will behave differently and only arrive in the UK by direct flights?
Did he just wait?
Mr.
Hold
Speaker, he
hold the
can't have it
fucking
both.
boat. Did he just say that new variants come in on flights? Sorry, are these new variants booking tickets? What the hell is he talking about?
He simultaneously says that he wants the borders to be kept open for freight reasons or to allow businesses to carry on. I think that was what he was saying.
It's not what he's...
Whilst calling for tougher quarantine
Boris is just
measures,
answering
which
his
is
own
exactly
questions
what
today,
this government,
it seems.
imposed as soon as we became aware of the new variant, Mr. Speaker. And
hold the freaking boat there. They found out about the new variant in September, and they didn't close things down. They were still opening things up until December. Remember, they were still opening things up until December. When they started closing things down.
Into this country
Liar.
from abroad, you have to 72 hours before you fly. You have to get a test, Mr. Speaker. You have to have a passenger locator form. You're kicked off the plane if you don't have it. You then have to spend 10 days, Mr. Speaker, in.
I mean, it should be
quarantine.
14.
If you're from one of the red list countries, Mr. Speaker, you have to go straight into quarantine. And all of this, of course, is to allow us to get on with the vaccination programme. And if it had listened to the right honourable gentleman, Mr. Speaker, we would still be at the starting blocks, because he wanted to stay in the European Medicines Agency, Mr. Speaker, and said so.
Why, he's made that
times
about
from
Brexit,
the
man.
box.
Fuck's sake. Keir Starmer.
Nonsense. Don't let the
I look
truth
like
get in
the
way of a
gif's
pre-prepared
perfect.
gag. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister knows I've never said that from this dispatch box or anywhere
Oh my
else, but,
God.
the truth.
Why is he,
escapes
like,
me. Mr. Speaker,
he's such an
describes the
idiot.
current arrangements. If they were working,
Even by him even defending that just means it gives it credence. It's fucking
if
stupid.
they were working,
Harms
the
in the
variant
chat.
would
Fucking
be
A.
in the
Harms
country, the single
in the
biggest
chat.
threat to the vaccine system. Mr. Speaker, let me turn to another area where the government's been slow to act: the cladding crisis.
Oh,
This
that's
is
a big one.
affecting millions of people. And I can't tell the Prime Minister how anxious and angry people feel about this.
Well, you actually
It's now
can't.
3.5
But
years since the Grenfell tragedy, which took
I mean, if you
72
had a
lives.
sense of empathy, you could have maybe
Can
did
the
that.
Prime Minister tell the House and the country why 3.5 years on are there still
Very good
hundreds
topic.
of thousands of
It's
people
ridiculous
living
that this
in
is still a
homes
thing.
with unsafe
Like Theresa May said she was going to fix it. What
cladding,
happened?
3.5 years on, and why are millions of leaseholders in homes that they can't sell and facing extortionate costs?
I mean, how about we just throw this to Theresa May and ask her what the fuck happened with her failure of doing it? I will say, though, people shouldn't be buying houses in high-rises ever. It's such a bad idea.
Mr. Speaker, in respect of the honourable gentleman's last answer, may I advise him to consult YouTube where he will find
What?
an answer.
YouTube? Wait, what the fuck did he just say there? Let's rewind.
Last answer. May I advise him to consult YouTube, where he will find an answer.
Wait, he just asked about the cladding crisis, and Boris just told him to look on YouTube.
He raises a very important point about cladding and the predicament of some leaseholders, of many leaseholders, and he's absolutely
Yeah, he did
right.
basically just tell him to Google it.
Needs to be
That's
fixed.
not an answer.
This government is getting on with
This
it.
guy's a
95%
fucking
of the
embarrassment.
high-rise
And am I the
buildings
only
with,
one that thinks he's wearing a mask
unsafe
today?
ACM
A wig.
cladding,
That's a wig.
has
That's not his normal hair.
been,
You can
work
normally
is
see his
underway.
scalp
They
through his
are
hair. You
complete
can't
or
see his
underway
scalp
to
today.
Remove that cladding. Mr.
thicker than
Speaker.
usual.
I very much appreciate and sympathise with
Bread
the
tube
predicament
channel.
of leaseholders who are in that situation.
Boris's busted
But
a
we
view
are
channel.
working to clear the backlog, and I can tell him that my right honourable friend, the Chancellor and the Community Secretary will be coming forward with a full package to address the issue.
Oh, so that means they're going to do nothing.
Mr. Speaker,
He's
whatever
back.
the Prime
He's
Minister
back.
claims being done isn't working. Because this is the situation. Through no fault of their own, huge numbers of people, especially leaseholders, are stuck in the middle. They are living in unsafe homes.
Oh, sup, Ballot there, boy.
They
Good to see
can't
you.
sell,
Good to see you.
and they're
I
being
like
asked to
seeing
foot the bill.
followers. That's a good
That's
thing.
the situation that they are in. Take, for example, Will Martin. He's a doctor who's got a flat in Sheffield. He's been spending his days on the front line fighting COVID in the NHS. He spends his nights worrying about the £52,000 bill that he now has to pay for fire safety repairs. He doesn't want future promises, Prime
Okay,
Minister.
right.
He doesn't want to hear that it's all been sorted when he knows that it hasn't. He wants to know here and now, will he or will he not have to pay that?
It's interesting that you said leaseholder
bill?
there, not like a homeowner or home renter. It's like, are these
Speaker,
people
we're
that are like
determined
rent to
no
buys or
leaseholder
what?
should have to pay for the unaffordable costs of fixing safety defects that are
Well, why didn't you
caused
give them the money then?
fault of their own. And that's why, in addition to the 1.6 billion we're putting in to remove the
addition to the
the
1.6
ACM,
billion, we are giving-
cladding, we are also setting up have set up a £1 billion building safety fund, which has already processed over almost 3,000
Yeah, and the
claims.
problem with the
I
leaseholders
sympathise
is
very much with
that
the,
they've got bad
the
contracts, and the
gentleman,
people above
that
them
the-
are
Dr.
wanting to
Martin
milk them for as much money as they can. So they're like, hey, fuck
mentioned.
you, we're
And
not
I
helping.
hope very much that
The
his
system's
particular
broke,
case
man. The
can
system's
be
so broke.
addressed in the course of the
But this
forthcoming,
should have been dealt with
package
Theresa
that
May.
will be
Like,
produced
she's
by my
sitting in the
right
back benches. She should have fixed this years ago, like 2 years ago.
There are thousands and thousands of people in exactly the same position. I spoke to leaseholders caught in the middle of this on Monday. One of them was Hayley. She's already gone bankrupt, Mr. Prime Minister. She's 27. She bought a flat, she's lost it, she's now bankrupt. It's too late for her.
Why she lost? Wait.
Those leaseholders that I spoke to had three very simple asks. This is what they want: immediate upfront funding for unsafe blocks,
Fair.
a deadline of next year to make buildings safe,
Fair.
and protection for leaseholders.
Fair.
We put those forward for a vote on Monday. The Prime Minister says he's determined to do something about it. What did he do? He ordered his MPs to abstain.
What a bastard.
If the Prime Minister is
What a
serious
bastard.
about moving this forward...
This guy's
and
not
ending
serious
this
about
injustice,
anything, Keir.
will he
Jesus
commit
Christ.
today to those simple asks from leaseholders?
Holy fuck.
Mr. Speaker, we're getting on with
Yeah, don't
the
bring
job
up abstaining.
of helping leaseholders across the country by remediating.
Don't worry,
their,
we've got the
their
gift
buildings.
playing, just
And
to
in
remind
addition to
us.
the funds I've already mentioned, I can tell him that we're also introducing a £30 million fund to install alarms and other interim measures, and we're making it very clear to the mortgage industry that they should be supporting people living.
This shouldn't
in
be the
such,
mortgage
in
industry, it
such
should be you
accommodation,
supporting
and,
them, you
that,
cunny,
the,
cunny,
making
you
clear
absolute
to all
cunny.
sectors of the industry that,
Can't say
people
the C
living in
word.
such
That's the
houses,
old version of
should
it,
not,
by the way.
Fun
Fun
fact.
fact.
Tied up in the whole EWS one process, and that will benefit about 450,000 homeowners, Mr. Speaker. I think he's right to raise the problem, but we're getting on with addressing it.
So basically,
Mr.
banks.
Speaker.
He's saying that the
And we're
banks
getting
should
on
be
with
fixing
addressing
it. The
fundamental
banks that
problem
fix
that
everything.
afflicts this country, and
Not
that
the
is
government.
Pandemic, and that's why
Not
I'm
the
pleased
government
we've
that
now done
let
10
this
million,
shit be put on people's
vaccines for
houses.
vaccinations across the country. And I repeat, Mr. Speaker, had we listened to the right honourable gentleman, we would be stuck at go, because he's shaking his head, but he can check the record. Several times he said that this country should remain in the European Medicines Agency. And if you
Wait, What the fuck's he talking about medicines for? He was talking about cladding there. He was talking about cladding.
I think he should study the record and you find that is exactly what he did.
Wait, how the hell did he just get from cladding to EU medicines in one answer?
He continues to refuse to say that schools aren't.
Oh, now he's on school.
Mr. Speaker. And on the contrary.
So this question was about cladding, so we went from medicine to schools.
Focus groups.
Focus groups.
Tell him that he should stop sitting on the fence.
And now he's been looking at my fucking Twitter.
No, Prime Minister, just
Finally.
fairness. I think we've got to be somewhere
What
near
the fuck,
them.
Leslie? Get him told. Focus groups. Yeah, the focus group is actually quite a funny bird. Boris is clearly following the shitpost left now.
Thank you,
Right,
Mr.
DeLonghi,
Speaker. May I join the
finally,
Prime Minister
Kira's
with
gone.
his moving words towards Captain Sir Tom Moore, who was an inspiration to each
get
and
to the
every one of us
question,
in this
mate.
country and beyond, may I say.
This guy's a Tory, by the way.
Mr. Speaker, the Priory Boxing Club in Dudley has
Boxing.
produced many champions, including Ryan Aston, who became champion 5 times in this country.
Who? I
May
don't
ask
know
the Prime
boxing.
Minister to join me in paying tribute to Paul
Yeah, I
Goff
think-
at the club, who is working with young boys and girls who are often out
Dogs.
of, who have been excluded from mainstream education. And may I ask him also to pay tribute
What is this
to
question
Council
about?
Leader Patrick Harley, who has agreed
This is the
and
most
supported
waffly shit
a
question I've heard in
partnership
Prime Minister's
with the club
questions
to
in like
ensure
3
that
seasons.
these
I'm not even
young
joking you.
people are
I've listened to
actually
Prime
going
Minister.
get
I
some
watched this for like
academic qualifications
10 years every
where
Wednesday.
increased belief
What a pile of
and
shitty
new
waffle
opportunities
this
for the
question
future.
is.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my honourable friend for raising this excellent club.
Prime Minister's questions, and he asks about some guy no one's heard of from a boxing club. No offence to the guy from a boxing club. I don't remember face punched him, but I'm pretty sure he could have asked an important question.
Huge difference it can make, not just
Wasted
to
question.
young
Wasted
people's fitness,
question.
but also to their educational.
Ballater boy
success,
in the chat, what do you
to
think of that last
attend
question?
boxing clubs.
You're the newest follower. I'm writing on my walls by
The
accident.
leader of the SNP in Skylock Harbour.
Yay, Blackford. Oh, and he's
Thank
looking
you, Mr.
pink
Speaker.
as
Can I
ever.
associate myself with your remarks about the remarkable gentleman, Captain Sir Tom Moore, everything that he's done. He
Yeah,
has
I mean,
been
we
an
get it.
inspiration to
But it's a really
each and
sad
every
thing.
one
We didn't
of
need
us,
to
and I would like
speak
to
about
send
him
my
every
condolences
single
to his
question.
family and friends. Mr. Speaker,
Yeah, he
last
needs to spend
week,
time. It's like, what
we
the
told the
fuck?
Prime Minister
He looks like a
it was
literal bit of
wrong for
garment.
him to visit Scotland. in
It
the
is
middle of the
Captain-
pandemic. We told him
It is
it was a non-essential visit.
Sir Captain
Mr. Speaker,
Tom Moore, I
This
believe.
morning, the Daily Record newspaper
Daily-
revealed
oh,
that
the
the
Daily
Prime Minister
Rangers.
knew that the Livingston plant that he was visiting had an outbreak of 14 COVID cases just 24 hours earlier.
Oh, ho, ho,
There
ho.
are serious questions to answer.
14.
Did the Prime Minister and his
14.
advisors know
He does look
about
gamely. He
COVID
looks like
outbreak?
he's been boiled
When
in
did they know?
ginger ale.
And
He
when
looks
did
quite
the
tasty.
Prime Minister make the irresponsible decision to go ahead with what was a PR stunt?
Why did the Prime Minister go ahead with a PR stunt? Because he's an idiot.
I can think of,
Why did he do
few things
irresponsible
more
things?
important than to see the rollout of the vaccination program across this country, to encourage the wonderful companies who are
And when
Oh,
did the
shit.
I can work
Boris, fuck off, mate. You didn't come to Scotland to look at anything. You come to Scotland because there's an election in May and you are shit scared that you lose your seats in Scotland. And if SNP create a majority government in Scotland,
across the
you
whole
are
of
shit scared
Scotland.
that you're
Mr.
gonna
Speaker,
it's gonna be
I would just
independence
repeat
time.
that,
And not only are you going to be the
government
the
remains,
politician
as I
that
said
screwed the
yesterday,
pooch on
very willing to
Brexit,
help,
screwed the pooch on
Scotland
COVID,
with
but you're
the,
going to be
with the rollout
the
of,
Prime Minister, not
vaccines,
President, that
across,
broke the
whole
union
of
up.
the,
That is
the
him,
whole
and he's wearing a wig. I'm not getting over
Turning
this.
to Ian Blackford. Ian Blackford.
Blackford again.
And
SNP,
there
by
is
the
the
way.
wow factor once again.
The
with
wow
the
factor. He's right.
Prime Minister.
Fucking wow. What a
What
pile
an
of shit.
absolute shambles. That he's gone to a plant where there was a COVID outbreak, and the Prime Minister can't just explain away this absolutely shocking error of judgment. Anyone can see that his campaign trip to Scotland was utterly, utterly reckless.
Yep.
The Daily Record story is very clear. The Prime Minister and his advisors knew there was a serious COVID outbreak at this plant. They knew
What?
the visit posed a risk, but they made a deliberate
That's terrible.
choice. They made the irresponsible choice. The Prime Minister put politics before public
If that is insane. If the Prime Minister's people knew there was a huge outbreak of COVID at this factory place he was going to, not only did he then, again, put himself at risk of catching COVID again, but he's put all the staff, all the people that work in the RAF that fly people about, he has put thousands of people's lives at actual risk, if that is true. That is fucking disgusting.
Prime Minister,
what the fuck?
why be so reckless?
Because he's an
Is
idiot.
it any wonder that people in Scotland
Hate
have
you.
no faith in
Is
this
it any
Prime
wonder
Minister?
people in Scotland
Isn't
fucking
he
hate him?
the worst
No.
possible leader at the worst possible time?
Worst possible leader, period. Anytime.
Mr. Speaker, I think what the people of Scotland want to see is the whole country pulling together.
No, we want to see you shutting the fuck up and stop telling us what we're thinking, you idiot.
Is doing one of the advantages of the
Tell you what,
Valneva vaccine is
he
that
can
it
come
may
on
be
the
able
channel
to
if you want. I'd love to
combat all
interview
sorts
Boris
of,
Johnson on this channel and see what he's got to say. See if you'd actually have the balls to come on and speak to a Scottish person who sees through his fucking shit.
Nobody, by the way, raised that issue with me before or since. And it
Comical
is my job,
anger.
Mr. Speaker, to visit every part of
No,
this
it's not your-
country. Nothing.
your
and
job
no one, Mr.
is to run the
Speaker,
country
is
and
going
protect
to-
people, not
is going to
do
stop me.
PR.
And I am very, very proud
What's he
of
gonna
the record of the government in rolling out the vaccine. As I say, the offer, it remains open to the Scottish Nationalist Party.
It's the
where
National
that
Party,
National
you
Party,
fucking
if they
idiot.
insist, that
And he
they
did
are
it
also
again,
national,
right?
Mr. Speaker,
Pause,
where that,
pause. Right. This needs to be said here, because this has happened every week of this season of Prime Minister's Questions, and he gets away with it, right? It's not the Scottish Nationalist Party. The SNP is not a de facto nationalist party. It is a party for the country of Scotland. It's not the Nationalist Party. He's the reason he is saying Scottish Nationalist Party is because the term nationalist is a far right political ideology. Nationalist is not just a name. Nationalist is an ideology. You know what I mean? And this is why he's saying that. He's saying nationalist because in people's heads, subconsciously, it makes people think of far-right wankers. It makes people think of racists. It makes people think of all sorts of really negative connotations, when the reality is, it's the national party, not the nationalist party. The reality of the SNP is it's a broad church. If anything, they're Republicans, not nationalists. I just had to get that out of my fucking head. And yeah, it's very deliberate. It's very deliberate, and it's very much offensive to Scottish people what he does that. I don't even vote SNP, and it fucking offends me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Closing the attainment gap has always
Next up, we have
our education policy.
Coutinho.
Yet we know that the pandemic
Another
is having a devastating
Tory.
effect on our children's education. I welcome the Prime Minister's commitment to prioritise the opening of our schools. Would he also agree with me that we must...
Oh, it's an agree with me question. This is a Boris question.
...education at the centre of our recovery programme?
So she wants education to be at the centre of the recovery programme. Let's see what they've got to say about this. And the good thing about this is if we get enough followers today, because I'm pausing it, it means that we're going to last an hour and we'll be able to run straight into the mix show and push people over. Hey, it'll work.
Yes, of course, we've got to clear up the backlog in the NHS. We have problems in the courts, but it is education that is going to be the focus of this government, Mr. Speaker, and repairing the differential learning that's taken place during the crisis.
Educating children is not going to save this country in the short to medium term. Educating kids is an investment, right? Giving kids a strong education and stuff. That's says Fardy. He doesn't look like a farty.
And honest on the reasons
why he's from the Labour. I put Labour Alliance, but it just says Alliance. He's from the Northern Irish Alliance.
So in that spirit, in the talks
that
will take place over the coming days, will the Prime Minister make it a priority to seek a UK-EU veterinary agreement, which would help both with respect to the Northern Ireland Protocol, but also all UK food exporters?
Okay, so he's on some sort of farming agreement.
I'm very grateful to the honourable gentleman, and we do think that it is very important.
I don't know much about farms, sorry.
The protocol should not place unnecessary barriers or barriers of any kind down the
Boris,
Irish Sea.
any barriers that's in place just now in Northern Ireland, he put them there.
That the EU
oh dear, SK, yeah. Ian Austin just got very interested in the veterinary question.
I said to Gloucestershire with Lawrence Robertson.
And yeah, you're
Lawrence
like,
Robertson.
Theo, it's exactly what they're doing.
Speaker, some
Oh,
of my constituents
Jesus,
have their
he's loud.
Christmases ruined
Robertson.
because the
Robertson.
and
Sorry.
local inappropriate
Sorry.
development caused foul water to enter their homes, causing them great
Okay.
difficulties. So
So, yeah, they're Labour
appoints
Alliance.
a statutory body with the specific
Melt
and
Party.
undeniable responsibility of ensuring that no developments can automatically tap into existing drainage systems, and that before developments begin, a full assessment is made of the local drainage capacity.
This sounds like a Boris question. He's got a boner for shit like drainage and infrastructure.
Does not begin until the infrastructure is upgraded.
The Keith Party.
Well, I will study the very interesting.
So this guy wants infrastructure updated. This feels like something that Boris would be all about. He loves fucking build. He loves pretending he's a builder or a bus driver or anything working class. As the posh always do. They always like pretending they're working class.
In the meantime, I will raise them, particularly with the Environment Agency, who I think do a fantastic job in managing local areas.
Next
that are
up
prone to,
is Rubiro Adi from the Labour Melt Party.
I know that our colleagues across the House will have seen the work of the Environment Agency across the country, and we're making another £5.2 billion investment into additional flood defences, which I know will benefit
Flood defences.
his constituents in Gloucestershire.
Literally, like the Conservatives have been talking about improving flood defences for like the last 8 years, and they've still never did it. Okay, so if SK likes Rubiro Adi, she must be cool.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister was not born in this country. My parents were not born in this country.
Ooh.
I was, but we are all British. There are, however, hundreds of thousands of children, including in my constituency.
I like the way she went in there.
who,
The
like
Prime
us,
Minister was
were
not born in
already
this
scared,
country.
are entitled to
Boom!
citizenship
Fucking
but
gut
priced
punch.
out by a £1,012 fee. Without it, they face Barrister University, work, healthcare, renting a home, or opening a bank account. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that it's wrong that the government makes 60% profit on these applications? And will he take steps to reduce or even end citizenship fees for children?
So, will the Prime Minister end citizenship fees for children, remembering that he was also not born in this country, so this would have affected him as a child? That was a great question. I agree with SK. That was a really good question.
Mr. Speaker, I think that British citizenship is a wonderful thing, and it's fantastic that so many EU nationals
He's
have
waffling.
taken up the
He's
opportunity,
waffling.
To become British in the course of the last few years.
He's
I'm
waffling.
interested in the point that,
Yeah, you're right.
Honourable
That was a
Lady,
good question.
makes.
So
I
it's
will-
supposed to be done.
I will study it.
That was a face mask as well. That was
clearly
awesome.
There are costs that must be borne by the taxpayer, and I think that she will appreciate that citizenship at any time
Yeah,
of
this
life
is
a very
total
considerable
waffle.
prize. And
Citizenship is a prize. Did you hear that? Did you just hear that? Citizenship is a prize.
That citizenship at any time of life is a very considerable prize.
No, it's not a prize.
Worth investing.
What a tit. Citizenship is not a fucking prize. Citizenship to the place you're born is a fucking right. You have the right to be a citizen in the country you were born. The way I see it, you should have a right to be anywhere in the fucking world you want. No one owns the world. It's a planet. We're just here temporarily. Yeah, you're right. She asked why people are making profit and why would it be stopped. He waffled and then said citizenship is a prize. It's something you've got to win. What a load of shit. What a load of shit. So that's like total populist fucking nonsense, that. Damien Green.
My right honourable friend join me in welcoming.
I wonder if he's still looking at porn on the work computers. Or was that someone else? I don't know. I think I just slandered myself. I don't know.
145 police officers during this year, bringing to the total of 800.
My God. I could fall asleep
we have on the streets
with
of
him
Kent.
speaking.
And most importantly, that this has been accompanied by a reduction of 17,000 in the crime numbers in Kent this year.
What was that?
I thank my right
What was that question? The liable zone is open for business. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The police, and I also congratulate Crime Commissioner Matthew, Police and Crime Commissioner.
Fucking
Matthew
hell,
Scott,
read the sentence,
for what
Boris.
he's doing to back the police and to recruit more police in Kent, and that's why
We need more police in
another
the independent
20,000
state
more
of Kent.
on the streets of this country. And I think we've already recruited about 6,000.
That's the Kent hand. That's the Kent hand signal, by the way.
With Julie Elliott.
Julie Elliott, Labour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
She looks a bit PLP,
Last
doesn't she?
week, the government responded to concerns
She sounds a
from our
bit
care
PLP as
workers
well.
by stating,
My
"We're
melt,
immensely proud of all our
my
care
melt
workers
senses
do."
are tingling. You know.
This is a sentiment we all share. Yet in the very same statement, the government
I mean, she's got
sought
a
to
library
cross the
behind
hook
her.
for the way our care workers
That's
have been
top
treated
evidence
by
of
saying
melt
the vast
mastery.
majority of care workers are employed by private providers,
Yeah, we know that.
and that the government does not set levels of pay for care workers. Why won't this government commit to ensuring our care workers are paid a wage they can live on?
Mr. Speaker, this government is...
I mean, that's a strange one. It's like, the only way government can do that is by bringing all social care under state ownership and under state running. Otherwise, there's no way they can do that.
Proud of not only setting up...
I can't see how that can be done without owning everything.
But making sure that we had record-breaking increases both last year and this year.
So next up
That
is Joy Morrissey,
the most
number
important thing to
18.
do for care workers and workers across the country.
Mick will be glad to know there's like 10 after this, so we shouldn't be running late.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And may I thank the Prime Minister for
prioritising schools during this pandemic.
And, will the Prime Minister confirm that this remains the case? And on Children's Mental Health Week,
Oh,
will the
fuck
Prime
off.
Minister work with parents and frontline children?
This really grates on me.
Minimize the
All of a sudden they care about children's mental health.
And to their mental health caused by this pandemic.
So I'm sorry, like, kids maybe suffer a bit mental health wise in the pandemic. They can't play with their mates, but are we just going to ignore the last 15 years of everyone moaning about kids spending all their time on the PlayStations, all their time on the internet? Like, kids nowadays, they are just as happy speaking remotely as they are speaking in person to people. Everything people do for entertainment is online now. You don't need to be in the same place to have good relationships with people. You can do that remotely. This is nonsense. They're acting like kids all of a sudden are not talking to each other, are not playing, that kids are just sitting in little back rooms with nothing, just staring at the fucking wall every day. It's total nonsense. This isn't just nonsense.
Prime Minister.
I'm grateful to my...
Yeah, exactly. And what about child poverty? Child poverty does affect mental health.
Very, very important cause, and...
I know this directly as a kid, that if you're in a poor household, you will feel like shit. As a child, you will feel like shit. You will see people getting stuff and you will not get it. I know this for a fact. That is what perpetuates bad mental health within children. Not going to school, because quite frankly, not going to school is a holiday. I get really fucking annoyed with this children mental health question. It just really annoys me. They never give a shit before, and they don't give a shit now.
Dr. Alex George will be working with the government to...
Next up, it's Ian Paisley. And why is there an American... Why did an American get parachuted into the Conservative Party, then parachuted into Dominic Griev's seat?
Into Northern Ireland with
It just grates on me. It's like, you've got your own Congress you can go to, I'm afraid.
And may I too express condolences
Ian Paisley.
to the family of Captain Sir Tom Moore, an inspirational and wonderful gentleman. Prime Minister, you say that your commitment to Northern Ireland is unshakable. Well, I speak for all of my constituents today when I tell you that the protocol has betrayed us and has made us feel like foreigners in our own country. Tea and
this is not good.
Will not cut the mustard. So, what is the Prime Minister
These are the wrong
actually
people to
going
fuck
to
about
do
with.
when the Prime Minister realises that the EU will do nothing to help Northern Ireland? Will the Prime Minister use all of the
18,
instruments
17, 16, 15,
at
14,
his
13,
disposal?
12 Captain Tom commemorations
Will he use, if
so far.
necessary, his parliamentary majority? Will he legislate, if necessary, to remove the impediments to trade in Northern Ireland? And will he be a man of his word and allow businessmen in my constituency to bin the unnecessary documentation that he told us we could bin? Prime Minister, be the unionist we need you to be.
Oh no, this is going to be bad. This is going to be real bad.
The frustration of the honourable gentleman about the way...
Yeah, it is actually quite... The irony that the unionists of Northern Ireland are now clicking on to the British Union's bad. Like,
in particular...
Guys, you could have got over this hill 50 years ago and avoided a lot of trouble.
To use the protocol in such a way as to impose a border contrary to the...
You've already have, you fucking twat.
The letter of the Good Friday Agreement. And
he looks like he's raging. I'm fucking raging, man.
To do, Mr. Speaker, whether legislatively or indeed by invoking Article 16 of the protocol, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that there is no barrier down the Irish Sea, and the honourable gentleman's business constituents.
He just said he was going to invoke Article 16 of the same thing that the EU did. But of course the EU are monsters for doing it, but we're justified. How fucking conservative. How absolutely fucking conservative. I've not changed that in far too long. There we go. David Davis. By God, this guy's a wet fart, isn't he? By God.
Nevertheless, we can learn something from our European friends.
It's like he looks like he should be the host of Grandstand in the 80s and then get sacked for doing something controversial. You know, like found in a car or something. I don't know.
After giving activated vitamin D, calcifidiol, to care home residents and some GP patients, that death rate almost halved, whilst ours was
Vitamin D.
Can he ask his advisors to look urgently again at the very latest Spanish
SK, David Davis is a weird one. There's sometimes he says stuff and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense actually. Then other times, like with the Brexit stuff, he just made a complete tit of himself, you know?
We will continue to monitor all the evidence about the efficacy of vitamin D.
Efficacy. That's a word for you.
He mentions...
You've got to go to Eton to learn the words like efficacy, like fucking hell. That's the first time I've heard that one. I've got quite a large vocabulary. I'm just not very good at speaking. Rosie Cooper. Oh man, Rosie Cooper today is being represented by a floating head, everyone.
That they are an island of forgotten people.
I am a floating head.
It's a 60s new town with very poor public transport.
Yeah, he does make up words a lot, doesn't he? He just heard the word efficacy and just thought, I'll make up another word.
Of getting to doctors, schools, shops, or visiting loved ones is.
See what she's reminding me of today? Who remembers Power Rangers and the big floaty head thing that was like, was it Zed? She was a Zed. Rosie Cooper is Zed.
87 underpasses, many of which flood every time there's rain. Will the Prime Minister ask his officials
So it's a flood
to work
defence
with
question.
Lancashire County Council to find and fund a permanent...
Rosie, you know that he doesn't help the North. Come on.
Which doesn't involve
fucking hell.
Providing canoes.
Taylor, you should start making...
Mr. Speaker.
If people, like, see with words, right? I learned this in college years ago with words. As long as other people know what the words mean, then technically it is a proper word. So yeah, make up words as much as you want. As long as it is understood. Like, for instance, as much as that word he just said there was made up, we all understood what it meant. So it is a word. Or is it? I think it is. That's just... Sorry, I'm getting into word theory now, which I probably shouldn't go near because I'm dyslexic, but alas... I like getting out of my depth. Flood defences, out of the depth. No pun intended.
Desire of the,
he doesn't give a shit about the North flooding.
I'm aware of the problem that
he probably thinks he's like
flooding in the underground.
God at the moment. He's going to flood the North out, solve his problem. Who knows?
Lancashire County Council to mitigate
Lancashire County Council. Is there a Lancashire County Council? I stayed in Lancashire before. I didn't know that.
To repeat, we have the funds available.
I stayed in Blackpool. Blackpool in the Fylde. Here we go. Jenks on.
We were delighted to hear that Mary Port
dressed like a bouncer.
Workington was successful in our bid for a future High Streets Fund. One of my right honourable
So he's a
friends,
conservative. He's a conservative.
And a bid I led when I
He's clearly not taking Boris's lead on the old getting into shape thing.
Positive outcome to our Towns Fund bid for Workington. Can I take this
something? Yeah. Does his past involve food by any chance?
For my constituents and levelling up.
Does it involve big dinners? Is this one of the guys that likes big dinners?
Visit my constituency to see for himself its potential.
You send me a DM about him.
Well, I want to thank my honourable friend, who is a fantastic advocate of the people of Workington, and never fails, Mr. Speaker. To,
so that was a Boris question.
Put their interests before me, and I will do everything
I
can.
So he's one of them far righters. Okay, it involves the British Party concerned about the nation. Yeah, I get your drift. He looks like one of them as well, doesn't he? Howell Williams, Plaid Cymru. The word like Plaid Cymru. He looks very bleached out. That was me this morning.
In the Carnarvon area have been delayed for days and weeks by a COVID outbreak amongst local postal workers. The Prime Minister will, I'm sure, join me in wishing my constituents...
Come on, man, mix on it one, hurry up.
But what is his government doing during this health crisis to make sure that the ones...
What is the government doing during this health crisis? I can't do Welsh.
...is sufficiently robust to fulfil its
sufficiently robust,
particularly in rural areas.
Yeah, I like Plaid MPs too.
Mr. Speaker, the most important
they're
thing
cool.
we can do, and
they're like SNP, you know what I mean?
All those affected by
they just want
of COVID. The team
just want good things.
describes. I think the most important thing we can do is continue to roll out the vaccination programme, and we want to get key workers such as postal workers as fast
A
as we
wry
possibly
smile
can.
came across the
We're
face of
already at,
Williams.
10 million across the whole country. We've got to get down the JCVI groups 1 to 9, Mr. Speaker, the most vulnerable groups. But postal workers over 50 will certainly be.
Sorry, why not? Sorry, hold the boat there. Postal workers under 50. Now, I am quite close to postal workers, if you get my drift. This actually quite... Talking about vaccinating postal workers directly affects me. Postal workers, many people have forgot the Royal Mail workers and posties exist, but during the whole pandemic, they are going to people's homes every single day, and they're not vaccinated, and Royal Mail are
all key
just
workers who come
doing
into
just
regular
enough to
contact,
protect them.
with others and who may be exposed
Under 50,
to the virus.
all posties should be fucking vaccinated straight away. Tracy Crouch.
Thank you,
Conservative.
Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister will be aware that the second wave of coronavirus has had a significant impact on the mental well-being of frontline nurses
Why
and
am I doing
doctors,
that?
with
I'm
many
stopping
in
that
critical
page.
care units facing continuous shifts with dismal survival rates, causing a level of psychological harm that may result in PTSD. With this in mind, will he look at
Exactly.
utilising
The postal
military
workers do the
understanding
jobs that we all
and
need
urgently
done, but we
invest
can't
in
remember
training
that they need
sufficient
done.
numbers of psychology professionals to support our heroic nurses
That
and
could go on my
doctors
wall. I
fighting
could
on
put a
the front
taunty
line
right there.
of this battle
Right
against
there.
COVID-19.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Mr. Speaker, my right honourable friend raises an extremely important point about PTSD in the NHS. And
Yeah,
the
that is
NHS
quite.
staff who do
That is quite important. NHS staff are being put through the ringer, mainly because his government are shit and they've not looked after them.
us all.
That's still a question
And,
for
I will
another day.
certainly
Topic
look
for
at
another day.
The particular.
I'm stoked now. I want a golden taunt. I'll wear that on a fucking medallion, like
as part of the
player,
50
man.
billion
Like,
pound
yeah,
package of investment, that we're making in the last year into the NHS.
So I've only got 4
we
questions
will be
after
making
this.
sure that
4.
we
Come on.
support,
Quick
staff
questions.
working on the front line, their mental health, and making sure that they have all the health and well-being helplines that they need, all the advice and counselling.
Helplines, because helplines are going to help you. Not medical treatment, helplines.
With Angela Crawley.
Angela Crawley, SNP.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
If you could speed it
Yesterday,
up, Angela,
the
that'd be
Scottish
great.
Government announced that they would go further than the Prime Minister and introduce a comprehensive system of supervised quarantine for those
So-
entering the country.
We know the answer to this question. Scotland's going to be better off together, better off in the UK.
Quarantine measure are now reaping
Why is she
rewards
rocking like that?
of
She's on a
reopening
rocking
their
chair or
economies
something.
and reducing the unnecessary loss of
Why
life.
is the
Faced
UK
with
not
the
doing enough
overwhelming
to do
evidence
this?
that
Jesus.
importing new cases and
She stopped,
variants could
thankfully.
undermine our efforts again. Why is the Prime
There
Minister
she goes.
watching,
Why is
waiting
the Prime
and hoping
Minister?
for the best when we know that his dithering on crucial decisions has already had catastrophic consequences?
Look, this question is basically just, why are you not doing what Scotland's doing? We're doing a better job than you.
On speed of rollout or delivery of programmes from the Scottish Nationalist Party.
Fucking dick!
But
It's not nationalist.
I want her to know
Asshole.
that the government will be very, very happy to help with accelerating the rollout. Of
Look at her trying to no-sell it because she knows she's getting seen on national TV. I would have been like this.
Is there and vaccination
A bit
in
Raj.
this country is the single most important thing.
Swear.
We need to do
Swear
that
it.
to
Why
get
does
us
someone not
to
just tell him
beat
to
the
fuck off and Prime
With
Minister's questions?
Stephen McPartland.
Steve McFartland, Conservative.
Thank you, Mr.
Hurry up,
Speaker.
Steve. Step pen.
Millions of leaseholders
He's not a
are living
Stephen,
in
he's a
fear
step
because
pen,
they have
by the way.
no idea how safe their buildings are, and they're also facing.
How ironically, the
staff
Tories have
bills
no
they
idea
cannot
what they're
afford.
fucking doing.
Can the Prime
Period.
Minister assure me that leaseholders will not have to pay to fix these historic fire
So,
safety
your
defects,
your
and
pals
also
already
rule
asked
out
this
loans
question,
to
McFarland.
leaseholders,
Jesus
which are
Christ.
not a solution.
Another Tory's already asked this.
Because as I said
Yeah.
earlier on, we're absolutely clear that
Which is
leaseholders
actually
should not
good.
have
I
to
mean-
worry about the cost of fixing historic.
I'm going to stop there for a quick second because, to be fair, that's 2 Conservatives that have went in on cladding and someone from Labour. They're actually quite good questions, and it's good. It shows a bit of continuity between people. These are probably not questions that Boris wanted asked or to answer, but they're being asked. He's been
Safety
forced to answer them.
defects, that they
I mean, we know the
cause,
answer is
appreciate,
fucking nothing,
the
but
sympathy and care with
at
which you
least they are
represent their
trying.
interests.
We're now heading to Stephen Timms.
Timms,
Stephen Timms.
Labour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I've been at a meeting with him. He waffled on for 20 minutes. It was like the most boring speech I listened to in my life.
Years after the pension freedoms took effect in 2015, attractive deals on Google or Facebook turn out all too often to be a fraud. So will the Prime Minister ensure that the planned online harms bill tackles online financial
I mean, I feel bad.
harms
He's a
in
good
order
guy,
to
but my
address
God, he
this
just
very
bores
serious
the
problem?
tits off him, and his questions are just pish.
He makes an excellent point, Mr. Speaker.
Of course he does, because it
online
fawns
fraud.
over what you want.
It is becoming an increasing concern of the government, and I think of people across the country. People must be vigilant. We will look at what we can do, as he suggests, with the online harms bill or any other measures to protect people, particularly pensioners, against fraudsters online.
Could you just get the...
Don't forget, the Prime Minister's asking the countries to get together and clap at 6 o'clock. I'm now suspending the House for 3 minutes.
Whoa, where's Sir Mike Pennings? Where's Sir Mike Pennings?
Point of order, is it related to...
Oh, we've got a point of order quickly. Oh,
Mr. Speaker,
good stuff.
If it assists the House, perhaps I could help to...
Oh, someone's got their phone
correct
ringing.
On the 31st of January, 2017,
Oh, not this prick.
the Right Honourable Gentleman opposite told the House, as recorded in Hansard, why would we want to be outside the European Medicines Agency, which ensures that all medicines in the EU market...
Why are they letting this
safe
little creep speak?
And effective.
What is he even talking about? Exactly, exactly. In the chat.
That correction will be on the record, but I'm not reopening a debate.
Pest.
I'm suspending the House for 3 minutes to enable the necessary arrangements.
I mean, I am fairly sure that it was Mark Francois that the report was. I mean, people wonder about that. I think we can talk about this in a way that doesn't create any trouble. Well, I mean, the case is closed, but there was the woman that raised the issue. She said an MP abused her. Now, the speculation is that it was Francois. We don't know that because it was hidden from public. It should never have been hidden from public. That's why people don't like Mark Francois, by the way. We don't know if it's true or not. I'd like to know what's happening, but there you go. So, that was Prime Minister's questions for today, and I'm going to sit here for 7 minutes and talk while Mick gets his stream ready for 1, then hopefully we can ping people over to him. So let's talk about what happened. In the chat, people in the chat, if you want to take part in this, that would be glorious. What did you think of today's PMQs? What was your favourite question? Was there any questions that you thought was good? Were there any questions you thought was stupid? Who looked good? Who looked bad? And how bad do you think Keir looked? And I just remembered to get the chat on the screen. My bad. I do apologise for that. But yeah, I don't think there was any... I mean... Theresa May's question was surprisingly good. I didn't expect Theresa May to ask a good question today, but she went in on... Oh, no, actually. I'm going to say, I was going to give her praise. It wasn't a good question. It was a conflicting question. It was like a... Theresa May wants people that are convicted of dangerous driving, that have killed someone, to face automatic life in jail. Now, I don't think that's a good idea. It's too blind. It's too binary. It's too 1 versus 1. You know what I mean? It's not like, if they do that, then what if it's an accident? But then the act's like something totally you know what I mean? These sorts of things can get out of control, and I don't think laws like that are a good way. They're too blunt. You know, they're a blunt force, and they don't really help things. The only other really good questions we had today was that what was Keir like? I only managed to jump in at the end. Well, Keir was useless. So useless, in fact, I really can't remember what he went on about. He asked about vaccines, and he asked about a few other things, but all you need to know is that his questions were pointless, and he didn't get any answers to them. The only other questions that were really good that were asked was about cladding. Now, there was two Tories asked it, and one Labour person asked it. And it was about cladding. Why are leaseholders being made to pay for all this cladding? Why is this dangerous cladding still on buildings? Why is government not doing anything? Now, I thought that was pretty crazy. It's insane that government have not done anything to sort this problem yet. And what makes it even worse is sitting 2 rows behind Boris Johnson, you've got Theresa May. She was in power. She promised that this would all be done. She promised that this would be fixed. And under her tenure, she had a whole year or something like that to get this sorted. She didn't do it. She just didn't do it because Brexit was taking over the party. Brexit ruled everything then, and she couldn't do it. She was out of her depth. And Theresa May being out of her depth just screwed everything. But yeah, I think it's just crazy that we're in this situation now where they ask that, you know? That shouldn't even be an issue, in my opinion. I'm playing with the chat here as well. I don't know where the chat should be. For next week, if someone could tell me, where do you think the chat should be on the stream? I don't know. I've got no idea. Okay, so that is Nick Live. So I am going to end this here for today. If you are watching this live, hold on tight because you're a way to go over to Mick Wright's channel. Sorry, I can't speak in chat because he has just started his daily newspaper review show. I watch this every day. I suggest you all go and watch it too. So for me, I'm Steve. Please follow the channel. Subscribe if you can because I need the money. I need the money bad. But I'm going to let you go for now. So see you all later.